Well, we have reached the final day of the year. It is 4 in the morning. I'm doing this as early as I possibly can because, as I mentioned before, sometimes you have people that walk past. They, are doing stuff, and I just don't want to run the risk of waking any of them up. So we'll see how this goes. I'm worried about the connection because I mentioned before that I'm not, my usual domain, and I hope things go okay. I hope we have no interruptions. I hope that you know we get to do our usual stuff. So I was originally gonna wait until about 6 because it's 4 a.m. over here, 4:11, 4:15 rather. But when I kept noticing that the situation was pretty much going to be the same no matter what time I picked, and the fact that the same group of people are probably going to be, knocked out, I figured that you might as well just get out the way. Oh man. Also, I am looking very forward to handling our business, and then I can go and lay down myself. I don't know. I'm probably gonna end up putting up an end of year video too because that's a tradition I have where every time a year ends, or at least for the last couple of years, I make a video summarizing the if and ends about it. It's just that normally the 31st isn't on Saturday or Monday, but I don't know if I would make I don't know. It feels weird to mess with tradition. It's just when you get used to doing something as a pastime and then it gets sidelined or angled in some other direction. So maybe I'll do the stream and then I'll put up the video at some later points there recorded. I don't know. It depends on how things are going to go. I know it'll be a lot easier to record than to do a stream. But we'll see. Yeah, it's always so interesting to think about how a lot of people get caught up on these New Year resolutions, and they talk about like wanting to improve themselves in some way. And I've said before that my position with that has always been, if you want to do something, you would just do it. You don't have to, declare that next week you're going to do this, next month you're going to do that, because for all intents and purposes, January 1st is basically December 32nd. It's really, I don't know why people get this mythical thing inside of themselves of, trying to make it seem bigger than it actually is. But it is what it is. Oh, man. I guess the only thing I kind of wish I could have done more is probably realistic drawings because I have a lot of like different actors and wrestlers I like. And what ends up happening is in my mind I can think of something interesting, some kind of like scenario I think would be cool, but then putting it to paper is much harder. Um, at least for me anyway. When I draw, it's a lot easier to just do a portrait of someone or just like one person by themselves. But when you start sticking five, or excuse me, two, three, four other people in it, it becomes much harder. So that's one of the few things I probably wish I could do more of. I'm not going to call it a New Year's resolution because I'm actively trying to improve in that degree. Yeah, I don't even, I'm gonna actually get my phone and check to see if I can be heard because we have to make sure the audio is in tip-top shape. So give me 1 second. And I don't even get notifications from my own stream. It's so weird how they'll send me an email, and then when I actually am doing it, I just get nothing. Like it doesn't say, "Oh, on your channel, it's live." It'll say that for everybody else, but not for me. So I said these YouTube can be so finicky with the way that it's structured. Okay, well, I think I'm speaking at a decent enough volume. I try to get closer and make sure that we can do this correctly. Which even then, I don't feel too bad because most streams don't have people show up anyway. Um, it's funny. I don't even think I did a stream talking about that one crazy woman that was on. Oh wow, I did not expect you to be up, Akatsuki Merchant, because I know you're about 2 or 3 hours ahead of me, so it's like 6, 7 a.m. over there. I got this one person I work with who I already know when I speak to them, it's either going to be on Monday or Tuesday at the latest Friday of this upcoming week. They're going to say Happy New Year's. I'm going to say, no, there's nothing happy and there's nothing new. Well, usually I am too, like the latest I'll get up in general is probably 9 a.m. Um, and a lot of times I'll go to sleep at 2 or 3 in the morning. So that's about 6 hours on average. The only time there's a deviation is if I'm watching something, let's say a movie, and I want to finish the whole thing. And a lot of times at my normal place, I don't even like staying up past 2 because of that person I told you about that has that never-ending stay-at-home order, where you if you go to sleep at like let's say 3 or 4, right? You would think, okay, well, I wake up at 12, I get my 7, 8 hours eventually. Um, that person leaves their door open and they talk very loud over the phone. Like the volume I'm speaking at is probably not even a fifth of the volume that they're at. And I have closed doors. They purposely keep theirs open all day long as they ramble and talk, and gossip over the phone. That's why I said sometimes people have these positions that I just think are so interesting because of how, like, it's technically work, but then it really isn't. And what I mean by that is, imagine if you had a job where all you have to do, because that jobs a lot of times have become to a build, like last one I had this past month had me go to a building. You're like moving back and forth, whatever. Imagine having a job where you don't have to get dressed. You don't have to um, get out of your own room because you have your computer right next to your bed. All you do is sit on the phone, type some stuff, and answer several phone calls a day. And like, again, this means that if you want to have non-work related calls, your boss has no way of knowing about it unless you don't answer the work related ones, which for the most part aren't even coming in that much. You might get maybe 5, 6, 7 people a day. But that's why I said that, like, I get where someone can say that's a job, but it's such a joke to me when you consider, like, when you contrast a position like that with the, like, the rigorous ones I've described, right, where you have people who have to get up and they have to go to a building and they have to lift this and move that and go back and forth in these different it's interesting to me how the person that sits in the chair typing and talking on the phone all day will tell you they're tired, but the one who has to actually leave and go somewhere and move back and forth and like stand or walk effectively for the entire day, they're you don't see them complaining about how tired they are, or if you do, it's to a much lesser degree than the one. Like I just think that's really funny when you contrast it. But anyways, I was saying that I probably have had more 6 hour sleep schedules than eight in the last couple of years, and that's not even because of like, having an alarm or some kind of thing I have to do at, an early hour of the morning. It's because that person is so loud and you can't even hear yourself think when they're talking. Like the only way to drown them out is to put on some headphones, which they might mess with you anyway and say, "Hey, can you do this?" Or can you do, they find ways to try to bother you about something stupid that they can do themselves. Or if you turn the TV up and then they'll complain about, the TV being loud, so you have to turn it down. So either way, it's just a complete pain in the backside to even be around them, and that's why I was so happy to get away from it for the time being. I don't know. I just try to be considerate. Like, people are sleeping here, doors are closed. I'm speaking as at a volume that is audible for me to be heard on here, but still not that loud because we're trying to, not disturb people. You get the idea, man. It's night and day different. I'm not a a prick. I don't enjoy doing stuff that I know is like bothering somebody or messing up their stuff. It's not something that, especially like I don't know. It's just whatever. I remember there's this recurring criticism of me, and I should have mentioned it during my most blame man of all time 3 stream, where this person likes to mention that I wake up at 12 in the afternoon. Now, what actually is funny is that I can't even remember the last time I woke up at 12 in the afternoon. Like, um, I literally have not had one day this entire year where I didn't get up earlier than 12. But I want you to think about this. If somebody is not working, which was my status for, months and months and months, years and years and years. If someone is not working and if they don't have an obligation that requires them to get up in the morning that, that they have to satisfy, why does it matter if they don't get up at 8 or 9 or 10 or 11? Like, think about how crazy that is. If you don't have something to do in the morning, why do you have to be up in the morning? Like, think a lot of people have something to do during the day, so they sleep at night. But imagine how crazy I would look if I said, you sleep at um, 3 in the afternoon while your shift starts at 6 p.m. It's like, well, hell, maybe the person is sleeping to get some rest. Like, I don't like, why do they have to be up at this inordinate hour or at this hour of your choosing when they don't have, you get where it's weird, right? Like, why would that bother you if they get up at this time that is different from when you get up when they don't have any reason to be up at that hour because they have no job or thing that requires it's people. That's why I said, man, like you can get castigated for pretty much anything, like in by people who know you in real life, by people who write stuff on the computer. You saw just this past Thursday there was a guy who was having some argument over movies, and out of nowhere he brings up a supposed conflict between me and a coworker, which actually wasn't a conflict. The lady acted crazy to me and I just said okay and just kept it moving. But it's like, what do those two things have to do with each other? Okay, Vince says top of the morning, nice to see a change of scenery. I mean, If they're not complaining about my background, they're complaining about something else that doesn't matter. So I just whatever. Um, I have a job where I have to get up at 4 a.m. and people are crying about getting up at 7 a.m. while I'm doing physical stuff versus them doing nothing. Oh, you know what? The position I had for a week before that crazy manager ended my assignment with the agency I was with, I had to get up. The job started at 6 in the morning. So basically, I had to get up at 5 in the morning every day and catch an Uber out in that cold, dark scenery. I'm going to use Vince's word there. Um, and I remember just thinking to myself how crazy it is that, again, like the same people who will tell you that they're so tired, like, look at the one I just described. Their job is in their bedroom. They don't have to get dressed. They don't have to lift anything. I mean, like, God, man. Imagine having a job where all day long you get to just call whoever you want. You can, like, that person. I would be shocked if they don't spend maybe an hour a day talking to people related to their job and another 7 or 8 a day talking to people that are unrelated to it. I mean, it is so disproportionate how much they have just taken advantage socially of the fact that they don't have to go to an office. It's really crazy. I had such a long day at work, sweetie. You worked 8 hours at B grade level stuff. Dude, I swear that job is a joke. And it's like they'll really sit and be like, I've been working very hard. You would think they were a coal miner or some construction worker, the way they talk about their job and how hard it is and how much they've been working. They were overtime. I'm like, dude, you are sitting. I mean, you know what? Imagine what I would look like if I came on here and let's say I do a stream for 8 hours and people just call and I speak to them and then I'm like, man, I'm so tired, guys. I was working so hard and I was working overtime and I'm working and oh man, God, I don't think I can take any more of this, man. You guys had me doing a lot of work as I sat there and flapped my gums and typed stuff on the computer for 8 hours. Man, I don't know how I'm gonna keep doing. You like it would be a joke. Man, it's so hard on my body. You don't know what it's like. That is what they are. And dude, they don't even have like one of those uncomfortable archaic chairs. They have those rolling chairs that people play around with in those different cubicles and offices, the ones where you can like spin them around. They have that. I actually am hurting my back leaning into the thing like this. I'm trying to make sure I can be heard. It's great for your body. Like sweetie, your job is the only exercise you do. Well, that's what I'm saying. Their job isn't even exercise. Like the last three positions I've had, you've had to lift things. You've had to either stand all day long or walk around all day long. It's basically the same thing. It is really insane to me when you contrast the physical labor at these positions I've had with the stuff that person does and how tired they act. It's like a joke. Full-time Twitch streamers are the most pathetic when it comes to work ethic. You know what's really sad? If you listen to people online, I mean, they make it sound like if you just sit in front of a camera, it's the most tiring thing ever. And oh my God, I don't feel like doing this, and I don't feel like it's like with me. A lot of times, I'm reluctant to do a stream either because I don't know what I'm going to say, or there's a circumstance that's out of my control. That's kind of like, like this isn't the best circumstance because I can't speak as loud as I would like. But they really pretend, and I'm also worried about the connection acting up because it did that on Thursday. but they really act like they have to wrestle themselves out of, because you know how they talk about there's this stereotype where you have a job you hate and you have to like get yourself out of bed, like you have to will yourself to even want to do the job, you don't want to be there. They act that way with stuff that they signed up for. Nobody made them go on Twitch and stream for hours on end playing some stupid game. I mean, it's such a joke, like like anytime someone online comes on there and then complains about doing the thing that they chose to do online, it's voluntarily something that they picked to do. Also, as someone who has done office work, it can be exhausting. Your hands can get tired from typing, your legs get sleepy from sitting for long periods. Well, listen, I'm not saying you can't get tired from office work. I'm simply saying that when you think about a person who sits in a chair all day long, um, and talks on the phone for the most part with people that aren't even related to their job, which they only can do because they're not in an office. I think for that person to act like they're really tired and, oh my God, I'm working so hard, it's a joke to me. So, I'm not saying you can't get legitimately tired from doing that stuff all day, but when you have people that are lifting boxes and crates and working machinery, I don't, it's like, come on. Your job's really one of the better ones when you think about it. No physical labor, and you get to talk to whoever you want all day. Dude, I'm afraid when I go to these jobs, I'm afraid to pull out my phone outside of break periods for more than 2 seconds. I'm afraid to look on there and see what time it is. It is a joke. Half these people don't even have kids. Oh, this one definitely doesn't. No reason to be that tired off an 8-hour shift with 2 breaks. And dude, I've had positions where they had me lift really heavy stuff, and it was so bad that the manager was like, "Hey, relax for a second. You can sit down," because they saw how heavy it was and like how much it takes out of you to lift that stuff. With some of these people that complain, they have a job. Again, no physical labor. They're sitting in a chair all day long, just typing stuff. Man, I'm beat. I'm so tired. Oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Security guards are prime examples. I mean, yeah, it doesn't require as much effort. I'm so tired of my job where I talk to my friends on the phone all day and get to do it in my pajamas while eating and drinking whatever I want. Dude, I'm not even joking that I've seen that person while they're working. Sometimes they turn on a movie or a show and like if you don't get how their position is one of the most lax, do do whatever you want type of jobs that you can imagine. I don't know what else to tell you. The amount of stuff I've seen them do that I know if you were in an actual office you would have no chance of doing. It's astounding. Hey, imagine I'm Vince. I'm so tired of my job where I get to talk to my friends all day long and watch movies and shows in the background and eat whatever I want or drink whatever I want while typing on. Okay, then they have the nerve to look down on me for not having a traditional job as if I'm crazy for wanting to live instead of slave. LOL. We live in a society that overproduces everything and still says we need to create more jobs. Maybe we need to elite jobs. Yeah, there are some jobs that nobody wants to do. Just like I told Akatsuki Merchant Remembers that position where they got rid of me after a week. It's been over a month, and the recruiter told me they still haven't found anyone to permanently stay on that job. They have people that don't show up. They have people that um, work half a shift. So if anything, it's just been a vindication for me. Like there are a lot of people who just they don't want to do this stuff. And then when you get someone that actually wanted to do it, you throw them away, and now you reap what you sow. Maybe we need to rethink what we consider work. The problem is anytime you have a job where you have a manager that doesn't do the stuff themselves, I notice it seems like they're less likely to be sympathetic toward the employees. And then the ones that actually do the stuff are more inclined to be like, all right, well, you know what? I get it. First time doing this, etc. Because that manager at that restaurant I worked at last year, he was just, if anyone was there besides like two other employees, he would just sit at his desk talking to somebody over the phone or typing something on the computer. He was living the dream. I'm working so hard. Dude, I swear, one of those days I went in there, I really thought he was playing like World of Warcraft or something. You could hear like the clicking and the move, the mouse. I was like, there's no way that that's a person that's like actually serious. Yeah, listen, Vince, I'm not even joking. If I wasn't like around that person that was telling you about that as the stay-at-home job, I really would consider recording it just as like proof of how much these stay-at-home positions really have like done something to people where they just take every advantage of this stuff. Like this person, remember when they're on the clock, right? They talk to their friends, not even like a quick call, like, hey, are you all right? Just over 30 minutes, hour-long gossip. And they have a little, they switch the phone line when someone calls in from that's actually, part of their job. They'll play a movie or a TV show in the background so they can like watch something. They have the headphones, they put the headphones in while they're typing something, or while, like they put one ear in while they speak on the other line. They can eat or drink whatever they want, right? With, and like we're not even talking about like a little cup of coffee. We're saying, you could have a whole bag of chips right above the keyboard. Um, they don't have to get dressed because these places have like a, what's it called, attire that they want you to wear. Like pretty much every job I've had, if they don't have a uniform, they want you to like look professional, etc. This person can work in their pajamas. They can work literally in their bra. And again, it's like all of these advantages that they have because of their never-ending stay-at-home order, and they'll tell you that they're tired. They'll tell you that they're working hard. I'm not even joking. When I make an edited video, more effort goes into that than them working because I have to write the script, I have to edit the video, which entails getting the pictures, cutting out all the stuttering, and sometimes I even mess up on that. I'm usually not talking to anyone while I'm doing that to pay attention to it. So I'm not even joking. More effort goes into doing an edited video. It could just be a video where I have a couple of pictures and it's just me speaking. Like that, there's more effort in that than any of the stuff you see from that person with that job. Because all they're doing is typing crap and answering the phone every like other hour while gossiping with their friends in the intermediate minutes. If I work from home, I'd have a time section solely dedicated to work where I shouldn't be disturbed. Dude, it's like they want to be disturbed. They have their door open all day long. And remember, I did a stream about this months ago where I was talking about how it's like you go to sleep at 3 in the morning, right? Now, I feel like if someone went to sleep late around me, and I've had people I've lived with that have gone to sleep, I wake up before they do. I see that they're still asleep. I try not to disturb them. There are at least multiple people sleeping here right now, but guess what? I'm speaking low. All the doors are closed. This prick would have the door open, speaking loud on the phone, and it would always wake me up. over and over, Monday through Friday. And I was like, I tell you, there's a lot of stuff I have put up with, and I'm glad it looks like much of it is about to be concluded because it needs to die. I'm working so hard, even though I am working at the comfort from my own home. Don't have to go anywhere, get dressed, face people you may not want to see, etc. Yeah, that makes sense. Also, hey people, hope everyone is good. Megumi, I'm gonna quote my new favorite commentator. Yikes! Oh, you showed up 30 minutes into the stream. Yikes! That's pretty late. I can't just be happy that you showed up during the stream and are like wanting to participate. I have to criticize you on the time period in which you decided to arrive. Vince says he's probably just passive aggressive. How dare he sleep when I got to get up early and make some noise? That's how these robots think. Well, guess what? I wasn't there for most of this week, so they couldn't wake me up. You have to be the arbiter of time. I told you that it's so funny to think about how you have some books that came out because you know that people don't read that often anymore, but like let's say back in like the 80s, 70s, 60s, right? You had some books that came out like To Kill a Mockingbird, Catcher in a Rye, um, that were considered like really influential to where people like if they don't read them by themselves, they get assigned them for high school. Imagine what I would look like if somebody was reading To Kill a Mockingbird and I was like, you're late to reading this book that came out 60 years ago. I just thought that was so weird. And, dude, my favorite part is him trying to say that like I was messing with his free speech. Like nobody banned him, nobody deleted anything he wrote. I was like, so wait a second, now free speech is like being gone after when you push back on what someone says. What a clown full of contradictions that character was. Dude, I'm still laughing at the part where he said, "Did you have a job last year?" I was like, "Sure." And then he puts the dot that like he really wrote something that just exposed me like I was like, "Oh man, he got me." I was like, "Dude, you really think if I get a job for the first time in years, like my number one priority is going to be getting a DVD for a movie that came out 20 years ago?" Oh my god. And it's like, what did me having a job last year? Because Vince, you probably didn't see the stream, but the context is that this guy was like I mentioned I saw The Matrix for the first time a year ago, 2 years ago, and this guy said, "Yikes, that's pretty late." And I was like, "What do you mean late? When was I supposed to have seen this movie that literally came out when I was a baby?" That's rated R, by the way, so it's not like it's a kids movie that I could have seen when I was a child, unless you know, I don't know, went online or stole a DVD or something. And he can't define what the period I was supposed to see this thing, would have been. And then like start saying that I'm making it more meaningful than it should be and that he's not going to waste his time arguing about this. But then he proceeds to write back and forth arguing about it. And then like randomly brings up this thing with this coworker saying that it was me uh, being argumentative when I literally said nothing to this crazy bimbo when she was acting like a just weird. Like it was so interesting to me because we it started a discussion about how there's a lot of entertainment that's been released, you know, just going back in time, right? That people, because they didn't exist when this stuff came out, don't see until sometimes their children Sometimes they're teenagers, sometimes they're adults. And I was talking about how if there was a movie that I really liked that I saw maybe when I was a kid or, whenever it came out, whatever, and then some younger person, right, or some other person sees it, I'm going to be happy that they like something that I like. I'm not going to say, you are late to seeing this. And then he had the nerve to say that because I was making the comparisons that these other series don't have anything to do with reality. I'm like, dude, you're trying to tell me that a movie about a simulated world with people jumping in air and wearing trench coats and firing things at slow motion is realistic, and this is and then he brought up The Pianist, a movie that first of all was directed by a child predator, but that's another story. A movie that came out when I was 4. It's like, yeah, I didn't see that when it was released. I didn't see any movies in theaters when they were released in 2002. He just failed to use his brain, is all. Didn't put much thought before saying what he said. It was uncalled for, and when he received pushback, he is being silenced. Dude, I swear, like, and we had this discussion before. If someone starts to push back on you in a way where you feel like, because I had that happen with that one lady that I think I mentioned you before that tried to have that romance debate with me, and she was making up statistics and stuff. And even though I was annoyed by the fact that she was trying to argue with me about something that has nothing to do with her, I wouldn't say she was censoring me because she pushed back on what I was saying. I was just, it's like when you have an argument online, unless the person is like forcing you to type stuff, you can leave or just not write anything back. Okay, Vince writes, Bob, 40,000 a year. Did you have a job last year? Jim, no. Bob, 3 years later, I made 120K so far. Jim, 3 years later, I'm making 133K a year now per year now. Dude, you know how a movie discussion like goes off the rails when you start bringing up stuff that has nothing to do with the movie. Like in that discussion about the Matrix and me being late to seeing it and defining when I was supposed to have seen this rated R movie that came out when I was a baby, he brought up the Holocaust. He asked me if I had a job last year. He brought up some encounter with some crazy woman at a job I had like a month ago. Like you get how that thing just was like that was crazy. I still can't believe that happened. Just all this stuff he was reaching for and grabbing and trying to extract. I was like, dude, it's just a movie. Because like I said, there are some films and some things that are considered influential that some people have never engaged with. The fact that he thinks a job is everything says a lot about him. The guy was the worst troll I've ever seen. He was probably jobless for a long time and finally got one. Well, that's my thing, right? Like when I get a position and I get paid, I'm thinking about, what I'm going to get to eat, paying whatever bill that's been assigned to me. I'm not getting a DVD of a movie is the furthest thing from my mind. You know what I mean? Like, why you like, I don't get a job and then my immediate thought of what to do with my new income is go buy a movie. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe somebody else disagrees, but that's just how I am. Also, Megumi, I want to ask you, and I want to ask anyone in the chat this question. Hypothetical. Let's say that you have a job you work for 8 hours a day, and every time you work the job, you have to go out of your house, right? You have to leave, physically leave from your house, right? And you have a person that lives with you that has a stay-at-home job, so they're there all day long, right? They are there Sometimes they don't even leave the house. They are in that house all day long, okay? And this person complains to you that you're not taking the trash out every day. And you say to them, I had no problem doing this before, even though this person this that wasn't taking it out only didn't do it because they're very lazy. But if I'm out of the house for 8 hours and then I come back from my, shift and I'm tired and it's such a big priority to you, this gets taken out every day, why can't you do it? Do you see where that person is coming from? Where it doesn't make sense for an individual who thinks trash should be taken out every day to just wait for someone who's not there for most of the day to take it out instead of taking it out themselves? Like, do you get how crazy that is? Like, Megumi, you need to take out the trash every day and it needs to get taken out. Oh, you've been gone for most of the day. Oh, that's okay. I sat here and let the trash that I say is such an important thing that needs to be removed sit here instead of just taking it out myself because I'm lazy. I have a job and you don't. Wow, I'm so impressed by your ability to get finessed by someone smarter than you who's able to sell your own work for less than he pays you for it. Please teach me the way to success. It's yours. Dude, I swear, I feel that isn't fair to the person who returns from a long work shift to take it out all the time. Right. And remember, the other person is there all day long, and they're the one who's complaining about it not being taken out every day. The one who leaves, it doesn't bother them if that stuff is there for another, for like a day or two or whatever, because they're not even there for the most part. When they get back, they're too tired to even notice. Dude, I explain this to not the person because talking to them is like talking to a brick wall, but I explain this to someone that's like close to them. And it's like they run laps around logic. I mean, that person told me that, well, you did it before, so and you're not paying for anything, so why not just keep doing? It's like that's not the damn point. If I am not there and they are there, and it bothers them so damn much, they should do it themselves. God, when you talk to these people, you might as well be just and you know what it really is? It's laziness. Because like let's be very clear about something. You can work 8 hours a day and still be lazy. If you can't take out the trash, if you can't go get the mail, if you can't and think how crazy this is. You're gonna talk about you want things to be clean, but then you can't take the trash out. Guys, I actually recorded myself because I wanted to prove a point. Because I was like, how long does it take for someone to take it could be a box, it could be the trash bag itself. How long would it take for them to walk out of the house and go to the trash can? Would you like to know how many minutes it took me to do this after as I recorded myself? I'll give you a hint, it was less than 2. And that actually was the impetus for because originally I was going to leave from my usual place I'm at, right? On today, right? I was gonna leave, do my stream, in the morning is like, the usual 10 o'clock time, right? Then leave and then come over here and then go back over there, however many days into next year, like probably midway through this week. And I went in there on Wednesday and I looked because I took all this stuff out Tuesday night. It was like and what happens is that this person orders stuff off the computer every single damn day. So there's a whole bunch of boxes and there's 3 of them. And I take them out. I don't say anything. I'm annoyed, but whatever. And I go back in there the next day, and this person is sitting on the couch. They're on their break, which means if they really want to, they can go and take out the stuff that takes less than 1 minute to do, or takes less than 2 minutes to do. So they're sitting here in this spot, and about 10 or 20 yards away is the trash can that has 4 boxes on top of it and a bag on top of it. And I was like, enough of this. I'm out of here. So when I saw that, I put my trash was in the bag, and then I went to get my stuff and I left. Like I took, most of the things I actually used and just got out of there. Because like I said, I don't understand why if someone is so bothered by trash, they can't just take it out themselves. Like, where does it make any sense to keep doing that? To just have stuff stacked on top of each other. It's just weird to me, man. That's why I said I live in the twilight zone. If you didn't put anything in the garbage bags, it's not your responsibility. Man, I swear to you, there could be a whole bag and I might have put one thing in there. And then by the next day there will be a whole bunch of, and I'm like, what is this person doing? But what it is, they order a bunch of stuff off the computer, and then they're so, I tell you, they have like, it's got to be really interesting to have this kind of like, I don't want to call it a lifestyle, but it's just, think about this. You live in a house where you have a job that allows you to sit at home, not have to get dressed, talk to your friends pretty much all day long, eat whatever you want, possibly watch TV and movies while doing the job. Then you have this person you live with who takes out all your trash. And, like, you get where basically every service for them is like, it's so interesting how they like, how you can have a person who makes it sound as if they're this really hardworking individual, but then they can't even do basic stuff like remove garbage from their home. You know what I mean? People will put a whole pizza box on top of the garbage and expect you to take it out. And like, here's my thing, right? If something's heavy, I get wanting somebody else to do it for you, someone that's stronger. But we're talking about empty boxes, like empty cardboard boxes that you can lift all of them with one hand, like this, or like this. I tell you, the number one thing you should take away from this stream is that just because someone has a job, it doesn't mean they're not lazy. People will throw stuff in the garbage and walk out the door in the same minute, expect you to take it out. Yeah, they expect me to take it out because no, dude, listen, we killed that myth because guess what happened? I went and got a job where for about 6 weeks, I was barely home. I was out for 8 hours, sometimes even more. I would come back and this prick would still expect. So, do you understand how the circumstances changed, but this person's expectations of me did not? They expected me to do the same thing I did while I was unemployed that I did when I was employed or while being employed. This person is just extremely lazy, but I am saying they should take out their own trash at the very least, especially when they order so much stuff. Dude, I've never ordered something off the computer, it comes in a little box. I have never put it on top of a trash can. I always take it out. I get, maybe sometimes I order like two, three things that will come in different boxes. I pick all of them up together, take them directly to, we have a blue can. So that's where you put the recyclables. I've never stacked that stuff on top like that. It's just because it's like, why? Why can't you just take the extra minute to go outside, put it in the can, and that's it? Me and this one guy had a joke that taking out trash must be a superpower because of how many people just can't be bothered to do something as like so simple. By the way, this is the same person that said the thing about how when someone close to you dies and they don't say anything to you about that person that was close to you dying. Their excuse is, "You're not a very inviting person." But then somehow they can muster up the courage to say something to you about mundane stuff like taking the trash out or getting the mail or helping them lift something, which, by the way, helping them is actually you do it while they stand there and gawk at you. So this person all around is garbage. Dude, I'm not even joking. The highlight of the last couple of days was not seeing them. It's funny when I had my because I did the most blame man of all time stream right after having that big argument the Monday before, it was like 5 days earlier. I actually had said to them that one of the reasons I know they don't, because people use the word love, and then they treat the people that they claim to love like trash. They never call you, they never ask you how you're doing, like basic stuff, right? And I said to them that if I lived anywhere else, I would never hear from them again. And I know this to be true because every time I've gone, like let's say over a friend's house, over, you know, just any other relative's house, just stayed over there for a couple of days or a week, you never hear a word from them, not a peep, like just nothing, right? And they actually tried to say that I would hear from them if I lived somewhere else. And sure enough, true to form, right? In all the days that I've been over here, it's been 3 in this current phase. It's gonna be at least 5 or 6 because I wanna stay until at least Monday. It was about 2 or 3 during the other occasion. They didn't say one word to me, not a peep, even on Christmas. They didn't say Merry Christmas. That's the person that loves you, yeah. Dude, my favorite part is that they have the same stupid excuse as this other person where they're like, "I pay for your place of residence." And I'm like, "Do you know?" It's so funny because I always remember when I would like really interested in living with this person must be the literal Twilight Zone 24/7. Well, they are most certainly my least favorite relative, and they are an individual who if I never had to see again, I would I would be filled with complete and total ecstasy. I'd be very happy. They are awful in ways you couldn't even imagine. And I'm only half joking about that. But what I thought was really interesting is there's this thing in psychology with abusers where they talk about how, and I'm just giving this as an example because I think it like parallels this, where a lot of abusers will claim that they love someone because they bought them something. You know what I mean? Like let's say I had a daughter or a son, right? And I beat them or call them out their name, whatever. And I'm like, and they're like, "You don't love me. You put your hands on me. You threaten me. You do whatever, whatever." And I'm saying, "Of course I love you. I pay for where you live." Now, this is a stupid reply, because how do I explain this? It would be like if Megumi was my son and I say to Megumi, "Oh, I care about you having a phone because I pay for your phone bill." But then you find out me and Megumi are on the same phone plan. So if I didn't pay for his phone bill, I wouldn't have a phone either. So they're not really paying for that for me, but because if they didn't pay for it, they would have nowhere, you know, to stay. You get what I'm saying? I'm also there, but it's not for me, you know what I mean? I hope I explained that correctly. It's just an interesting thing I've noticed where people really think if they pay a bill, they care about you. Like it's hilarious. Like that's your defense. Well, Vince, I'm not about to talk about the heart. I love you. Do I call you? Do I hang out with you? Do I do things with you? Do I ask you if you're all right? No, but I pay for this bill at this place that you also happen to be residing at. Dude, my favorite part of that argument last month was that person like getting in this over dramatic display because I said I didn't love them because it was funny because it was like you're surprised that the person that you live with that never speaks to you, that only speaks when spoken to, does not love you. That was shocking to you. Remember, this is the same stupid bastard that made fun of me for not having a job. That's who I'm supposed to love. I don't even like. Sounds like this person really is fake. Oh yeah, they actually there's another person that's like around the same age as me that they talk trash about. And this person disappeared and they used to come over every week. For this whole month, they disappeared from coming over to my place. Um, and all of a sudden they show up on Christmas Day, I guess, to get some gift that this person that's been talking trash about them behind their back for weeks got them. And I was just thinking to myself, you really like you're so wishy-washy to where this person that you liked for pretty much 2 years straight while you talk trash behind their back did something that upset you so much they didn't even come over there for almost a whole month and you talk trash about them during that time too. Then you get them something to get them to keep coming back and then talk trash about them behind the like I don't know how anyone is friends with that person. Because a lot of the stuff I mention about like my best friend, for example, I've told him to his face. Like when he was saying that goofy stuff about you don't need to rewatch a movie again if it's good, you remember it. I was like, what are you talking about? When he did that dumb thing about oh, I treat actors like regular Joes or whatever, where he was like saying he purposely goes out of his way to not know who actors are. I said that was stupid too. Told you I don't have to hide. No, if you say something that I think is crazy, I'm gonna tell you directly. But all the stuff that's been mentioned to him on here has been directly said to him as well. And I usually don't even get caught up in trying to tell somebody what they should believe. Can you wrap up 20? Oh, your platform has a lot of potential, though it only takes one video. Can you wrap up 2022 in one sentence? How about awful? Like last year was garbage. This year was awful. And then I'd say the year before that was I guess what's a good way of describing it? Like the virus was bad, but for whatever reason, I don't how do I put it. The thing I liked about 2020 was that you had people staying at home and they were actually like spending time together. Like even though you had people who were getting the virus and that was all awful, people like actually were like being together, which I liked. Um, I misinterpreted what I don't know, like I guess I blanked out or something. Um, describe the year in a sentence. It had a promising start, but an awful conclusion. I'll put it that way. because the year started decent. I got hired by this place not even like 5 or 6 weeks into the year. I was excited. I was learning all this stuff, and then we had the job curse, right? Where people go on a website, they complain. People that have never met you but have the authority to get rid of you anyway, get rid of you. Then month after month, apply and hear nothing back. Um, it was just it started strong, and it descended into trash. Man, this year is the equivalent of, like, imagine you meet some woman and she comes and asks you, like, "Hey, how are you doing? My name is da 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 da." And you're like, "Oh man, this is a nice lady to talk to. I'm having a good time." She gives you her number. You're having some conversation about something you haven't come. And you're like, "This is a decent dialogue, right?" She asks you if you want to go see a movie. You're like, "Yeah, cool." You go to the movie, you enjoy it, and you feel like, "Oh, this is kind of progressing. This is fun. I'm enjoying myself." Then she invites you to a dinner, and you go to the dinner, and that's when she asks you, "Hey, so what do you think of this necklace I have? I want you to know because and then that's when she mentions what her boyfriend thinks of it, and you're like, "Wait, what?" And then she's talking about he might be her fiance. So you're like, "Wait, so all this stuff that got me excited, right, of the woman like showing interest or whatever, suddenly now means nothing." Because when I worked that job back in February, I was really excited about that position. I put up with all the rude customers, right, that were cursing me out and calling me out of my name, and making, suggestive comments towards me. I put up with all of it because I wanted to work. I was serious about being employed, and that's why it's such a lousy thing that, like, a genuine effort. Because I feel like even if stuff doesn't go the way I want, I still make an effort. Like, I've written scripts for shows that I've never even made one episode to, but I still, like, try. So in place of a genuine effort, you just got pretty much slapped in the face. I'm not sure you mentioned. No, that I was just using that as an example. But there was a woman I met when I was in, I'll never forget, it was my first week of college. There was a woman who was in my history class, and she went out of her way to, like, speak to me, and I was like, "Oh, this is nice." Um, this is actually the year before I made that viral video, so go figure, and arguably, it could be considered one of the, like, final nails in the coffin, but we had this good dialogue, gave me her number, and I noticed, like, I sent her a message, she didn't respond. I'm like, "Okay, that's kinda weird." Then, the following week, she mentioned that, like, I asked her if she was gonna do anything after school because I wanted to hang out with her. She said that she was gonna go hang out with her boyfriend. I saw her after school that same day. There was no guy, so I thought she was making it up, but, whatever. People, because we've established chicks think that everybody wants to date them. And then I went to, because I know she wasn't really saying that much to me for the next couple of days. So while I was waiting to get picked up by one of my relatives, because this is before I had my license, I was in the parking lot, and so was she. And I was asking her about the homework for our class, and then I shifted it to ask her about, like, are you upset with me over something? And then all of a sudden, this big lumbering figure appears, and he's like asking her questions, and I retreat, and I have my phone in my face like this, and he asks her, "Who is this?" As he points at me, and then she lies and says that I was following her around, and then he says something to the effect of, "Why you think it's normal to follow people around? That's weird." Or weird, some kind of like insult thing toward me, right? And I'm still just staring at my phone because I don't want to have get into some kind of thing with this person. And then they go to his motorcycle, and then he starts to walk back to me, And I swear it's like my life was flashing before my eyes, like, "Oh my god, what's about to happen here? Like, what is this?" So then he's like, "Hey, she doesn't need any of this stuff, man." And it's like, "Yeah, sure, okay." I just, it's like, "All right." And he left with her, and it's so interesting how when that happened, I didn't do a video about it because it was kind of like embarrassing for me in a way. But really, what was so interesting just in hindsight is that it's interesting how that was one of the like prime examples still in my mind of how a woman can basically get you in all types of trouble, because who's to say that after she lied and said I was following her, this guy didn't assault me or pull out a weapon? I mean, like, and remember, this whole conflict or any interaction between me and him, which was antagonistic because of something she told him that was false, all was initiated from me speaking to her, which would have never happened if she hadn't spoken to me, initially anyway. Yeah, I was scared. Like I said, I don't fight other men over women, especially ones that they're apparently dating. And it's like, you know, um, that's why I said self-preservation, if you're a man, is so important because you don't have people that actually care about you in most instances. Other men online don't care about you. Most of your relatives probably don't either, which why you never hear from them, never ask if they can do something for you. Um, these women certainly don't. I mean, you have like you have almost next to no allies whatsoever. And the best thing a lot of people can do for you is just be apathetic, where they just don't care. And I'd rather that over something like what happened in the example I gave. Um, because that really, if I had responded in a different way where I was like, man, that what is lying, or whatever, what are you gonna do? If I was a confrontational person, that could have gone in a whole other direction that I don't even want to imagine. That's why I said I just and we mentioned this before. The point of having romantic relationships with women, if you're a guy, is that you're supposed to meet one of them that you feel some connection with, that you enjoy the company of, that you like to spend time with, that wants to do what you want to do to some extent or another. When you have a woman that you meet who uh, will act nice to you and then all of a sudden lie to get herself out, to like throw you under the bus, there's nothing good that comes out of that. And unfortunately, that's a lot of them. They're just these, like, it's so interesting how they have self-preservation, but it's in like a much more like douchebag way. Because if I was dating a woman, for example, and she saw me talking to some woman who asked me questions about homework, whatever, I'm not going to tell her this other woman that was here was following me. I'm going to say, hey, look, this woman is in my class. She asked me a school related question. If you're paranoid enough to think that's me cheating on you, then you're an idiot. You know what I'm talking about. I'm not about to sit here and try to use you to make myself look good for my part. I mean, like it's so tacky. But chicks are tacky. They're tactless. They're snakes, and like I said, the ones that are decent are you might as well be looking for a needle in a haystack. Yeah, that's true. She told one fib, and that could have led to a serious altercation indeed. People like that are snakes. Snakes like that are people. Seriously, that encounter could have gone in all types of different ways if I had reacted differently. Because the only thing I could be construed as having done wrong is even speaking to her in the first place. But even then, it's like I did ask a homework related question. Uh, so it's not like I was, you know, asking her all this personal stuff that made her feel so uncomfortable. By the way, about 2 months after that happened, she contacted me, asked me about some homework, and I thought, "Oh, man, did she break up with the guy? Oh, no, he just got busy and he wasn't picking up from school." And I was like, "That's so weird. Why would you have this dude that you feel so afraid of as to make something up about me? Then when he suddenly gets busy 2 months later, that's when you finally decide to start trying to talk to me." It was weird. I told you, man, chicks are like they are some of the most wishy-washy characters you'll ever see. They switch from one side to the you can't take anything they say seriously. Seriously, if the roles were reversed and the genders were reversed, you would never see me do that to a woman where I'm like, uh, honey, this woman that was speaking to me was following me. I would say, hey, look, she asked me a question about homework. If you're paranoid, that's on you. I don't know, like, I just feel as if people have to have some kind of like, and excuse my crassness, but have some kind of like some balls, like be able, because remember, you are dating this person because you like to spend time with them, you enjoy being with them, at least that should be the reason. So if they're so paranoid as to think that any guy you talk to has this like master plot to try and get with you behind his, their back, like, you have to be able to say, "Hey, knock it off." I mean, think of how crazy that would, like, just imagine that from the perspective of, like, let's say you're a woman. Do you really want to be with someone who thinks every single time you talk to another man, you're cheating on him? Or even if you were, a woman, like, or if you were a guy, right? Would you really wanna be with some woman who thinks every time you talk to another woman, you're cheating on her with that person? A normal guy when you're useful and a creep when you aren't. Sure, but I'm just saying that there's something really wrong with modern relationships for people to just think if you speak to another person, you're trying to, like that's your side guy or side woman or whatever. It's really weird to me. Oh man. I told you the internet like that's how you can tell from that they aren't really in a genuine trustworthy relationship. At least that's how it looks to me. Yeah, that's how it looked to me as well. But I didn't really take it too seriously because, like I said, man, women, particularly attractive women, like women that are physically attractive, they're a dime a dozen. And you know, that's why I said I just can't get excited about any of them anymore because we've seen every screwed up scenario play itself out. Like I've had this new phrase I use a lot with the edited videos where it's like, we should already know at this late stage in the saga. Because at this point, what have we not seen? We've seen a woman who asked me a bunch of personal stuff that I answered, told me about she was into BDSM, which I'm not into, but was willing to do because she was, like satisfying her needs. She says she's excited to speak to me voice to voice. And then after that, just abruptly cuts me off, says, "Hey, I don't think this will work. Goodbye forever." We had a woman who last year asked me on a date, and instead of just doing the date, she follows it up by asking all this additional side garbage of, uh, can you meet my parents and can we get to know each other first to where and then was like lying on me and saying that I was bothering her or something when she's the one that even started this to begin with. Um, we had we had a woman who, I always remember this infamous story, agreed to marry me. And then a couple of because her religion again barred her from dating. That's why I made the proposal. We already explained this before. And then after a couple of days, reneged. And then for 3 months, did the maybe I'll change my mind if we keep talking as a purposeful attempt to get something out of me while not giving me anything I wanted. We've had a woman who spoke in an explicit manner toward me that everybody heard in that video. And then when she sees my picture, "Oh, you're not my type, even though I just sat here and talked dirty to you for hours on end." So at this point, what have we not seen? What new thing are they going to do? Heck, before any of this happened, we had already seen a gold digger. Some woman that talks to you and acts like she really cares about you, and she asks you a bunch of personal stuff and asks you if you're all right and really wants to talk to you and see how you're doing. And then you are attracted to her because she's the only thing with a triangle that's not related to you that's giving you the time of day. So then you agree to go on the agree to date her, and then she peels off her mask and starts begging for money every single damn time you either see or hear from her, to where you just snap your fingers and then the whole thing. I'm asking, what have we not seen? We've tried talking to them for extraneous amounts of time. Remember Triple L? 11 months for nothing. Basically had to metaphorically bend her arm to even get her to meet me in person, where all she did was blow smoke in my face with her cigarette. Um, Dude, I really do want to buy like a infinity gauntlet and wear it on streams. And every time we do the fingers, you just see me put the gauntlet on and snap. I'm asking, what have we not seen? What new thing is there possibly left for them to do? We've even had more recently chicks that won't even have a call with you. They will sit there and type 900 messages, but they won't have one call. And remember, you're supposed to believe that these are the same people who are going to go on a date with you when they can't even have a VC with you, a phone call. You can't even hear this person's voice, but you're going to date them. Again, I'm asking, what have we not seen? Like, I thought I was at the end of my rope when I did that video years ago, but like at this point, it's believing that this will change is a self-parody if I believed in that stuff. Because we like look at all the insanity that has happened with them. Like, I can already tell you what's gonna happen next year. I'm gonna meet there's gonna be some chicks on some different websites, whatever. You talk to them, ask them if they like, etc., etc. They ask you some stuff back, maybe here or there, but it doesn't go anywhere. Nothing of any decency or substance ever materializes from it. I'm telling you, I'm asking, what new thing are they going to do that I haven't seen before? I think they might have finally run out of tricks. I would love so much for someone to tell me what new things could they possibly do at this point. Yeah, and that's what I think is the most upsetting about this. It'll no longer be a plot twist if they suddenly switch on you. No, you expect it. I mean, like, think about nothing ever materializes. It's just a bunch of stupid phone calls and text messages. Nothing of any substance ever shows up or appears at all. So when Empire Strikes Back came out back in was it 1980, the twist that Vader was Luke's dad was shocking, and people were surprised by it because you really didn't have movies where or really like stories where the villain was the parent of the protagonist. Um, and that's inspired other stories to do the same thing, which means that it's less of a plot twist because it's been repeated so much since then. So the first time you ask a woman out or a girl or whatever, and she says no, you're like, oh man, I really thought this was gonna work out. Because I said before, the first one I ever asked out was when I was in seventh grade. I'd known her for 5 years, was friends with this person, asked her for a number, she gave it, like that. That was a shock to me. Second one was at this new school I went to for eighth grade. She was dating some guy, whatever. One from ninth grade kind of stuck up a little bit, whatever. Said no. I didn't even, that was the first one I didn't actually get the number from. But I was just thinking, it's like when you get to 10th grade, 11th grade, especially 11th grade, because it just balloons. I was like, yeah, man, I can't believe in this stuff anymore. Because again, it's like, what would I look like if after all the bad stuff that's happened relating to them to me, I go out and I talk to some woman and she says, I'd rather we just be friends or I'm not interested in you. And I'm like, I can't believe she did this. I loved her. I don't know how I'm gonna move on. I can't. I don't think I can take it. She's tearing me apart. It would be a self parody because I should have figured out by now that this is what they do. Dude, you would sooner get me to believe in the Easter bunny than them being different, like getting a different result because they're very predictable. The only time one of them does something that surprises me it is if it's just completely off the wall crazy, like, what the hell are you doing? That type of thing. Because I mentioned that I had a woman on I think it was Twitter who like blocked me on Christmas. And I had just met her the night before and we were talking about some show. And I was surprised by that because, I we were just talking casually to her last thing she said to me was like, ha ha ha, like laughing. I was like, what kind of Prozac lithium drug addiction do you have to where that makes any type of sense? Like I was shocked because of how abrupt and random it seemed to be, but it's not like, I really expected I was gonna have this meaningful, great dialogue with her and we were gonna connect on this fundamental no, you know how chicks are, man. They're not it's a surprise because of how insane it is. It's not a surprise because it's, some result that we couldn't have foreseen. No, a woman will stop talking to you over everything, over anything. Like I remember there's at least two different chicks I spoke to on Reddit where when they see your picture, when they saw my picture, they just completely stop responding. But remember, only men care about looks. Yeah, women aren't shallow, they're not conceited. Dude, I remember for the longest time, I didn't even wanna show any of those chicks on different sites where I looked like I was like, "No, I'm good. I want you to keep speaking to me, I'd rather not." I'm telling you, I've never had a woman I spoke to on some website where she didn't show her face, and then she showed me her face, and I just completely didn't like, maybe there's a woman you don't think is, physically attractive, but you still like speaking to her, because you enjoy the person's company, whatever. Um, but I've never done that before. There's a woman who I see what she looks like. I'm like, "Bleh, I'm never gonna say anything to you." I don't know. I just, again, maybe I'm just not as tacky. Dude, there's so much stuff we have put up with for chicks. Like, it's really hilarious to me that they will have you bending over backwards until your back just breaks. It's crazy. That's a really horrible thing to do to someone as well. And again, I don't like to psychologically diagnose myself, but that did mess me up a little bit because I'm like, well, hell, now anytime I talk to a woman, for all I know, she could see my picture after having some dialogue with me where she, laughs and giggles and does all the other usual clown stuff. And then it was like, oh well, I'm not interested in you anymore. Now I know what you look like. They've done this repeatedly. Extremely childish too. You know, that happened with that the one that was in that She's a 10 stream where she saw my picture after, I thought we connect because we both enjoy the same kind of like films and entertainment. And I was really disappointed by that because, like I said, she's not pretty. I showed her picture to at least 5 different people in real life, and all of them said she was unattractive. So, like, we're not even gonna pretend this was some supermodel, but it's like, I really felt I guess when you know that someone is into something that you're into and it's kind of like obscure, like you don't really know that many people, especially women that like it to any degree that you do, you're like, "Oh, that's so cool. This is great. I have someone to talk to about this thing." And then suddenly you find out that person, no matter how much you accept them, no matter how much you have in common with them, you're just not good enough for 'em. But yeah, it is extremely childish. And like I said, it continues to poke a hole in this narrative that only men care about appearance. Like I said, men are a lot more accepting of women than women are of men. How many times have you gone online and seen some woman where she's like, no man wants to go on a date with me because I'm not rich. I don't have a license. I told you that one chick, the dingbat with the baby, that person was homeless. Not well, homeless in the sense that they lived with another relative, but they still, what I'm talking about. They, for all intents and purposes, they did not live somewhere that was of their own design. That person was homeless and jobless, and they still had a boyfriend. But these guys are gonna tell you about how, oh, you need to have money to get a woman to like you. Man, please. Like I said, there are some chicks that are actually worth the piss that when they, like if they actually are attracted to a man and want to be with him, we've seen this happen before. You'll have some guy that's like in college or high school, maybe he's got a part-time job, whatever. Him and the woman will actually save up their stuff so they can, do things together. Like we were talking about this before, how you have some women that they're married to a guy or they live with their boyfriend, whatever, and they both pay for the rent every month. So they actually save their money, like because they're both pitching in equally or roughly the same amount. And how in that instance they are actually benefiting each other because they're doing something of what's a good way of putting it, something that's of value for the other person, where they're cutting the amount of money they pay on for rent in half. But do you think any of these totally not gold digger but only interested in men with money chicks will do that for you? You shouldn't. And you know the answer to that, they wouldn't. It's so sad, man. Like women have so much potential, like just in general, and they just squander it needlessly. It's really sad. But I guess that was the moral of the story for the "We Can't Go Back" video. The idea that people, you can always see it in little brief glimpses. They have this thing they can do, or you know that if they applied themselves in this form or fashion, they could do it. But they choose not to. They would rather be half alive, or less than what they could fully become. It's a real it's sad, man. Because like even when I do videos, I fully accept it. Channel's not growing, gonna be the same size, but at least I try. I mean, it's like same thing with the jobs. I was firmly convinced I'm not getting hired by any of these places, a dead end. But every time I got hired somewhere, I still tried. I still did all of the things they told me to do to the best of my ability. Always showed up on time. Like I don't know, it just feels like people, they don't have any desire to because we're not even talking about some big huge goal, right? Like I want to scale a mountain, like that. We're talking about people trying to convince you that relationships are something a man should want, right? If he's attracted to him, he should want to be with one of them. But what do you actually get from being with one of them? Like what does being with one of them actually do for you? Because it certainly is not going to financially benefit you. Remember, every time we see a relationship, it's the man that pays for the woman, almost never the other way around. You just don't see that anymore. Something like that should be done for both parties, equal effort, and be able to compromise. And unfortunately, women cannot compromise. They want these perfect, almost, we talk about the unrealistic fantasy, right? You remember the woman that lived in another state and her rent was like $700, right? That is literally half of what it is, actually, excuse me, less than half of an average apartment where I live. So I said, hey, you know what? You let me come live with you in your state, I'll pay half of this. So every month you can save what you have, or at least you can save, because she was saying she couldn't save. So I said, hey, if you let me stay with you, I'll pay half. Um, and this is a woman who admitted that she thought I was more attractive than her, more attractive, funnier, whatever, than her ex fiance. And it's like, that's a person that you claim you think is attractive, that you like to, I guess, spend time with, all these hours long VCs that we had. They're offering to do something that's going to benefit you, and you shove them aside. And it's like, how are you not crazy for doing that? But yeah, equal effort and being able to compromise, those are two things that they do not have, and I don't think they're going to regain it in my lifetime. You're going to keep seeing this get worse and worse. You're going to see chicks that no one's ever heard of having 30, 40, 50 guys trying to talk to them, and a bunch of these different con artist men online talking about, if you wear this and you go to this country, women will line up around you like you're the second coming of Christ. It's sad, man. Like, so I said relationships aren't even about actually enjoying spending time with someone or being with someone. It's just strategic simulations. Wear this and you increase your chance of getting a woman to like you by 3%. Take this off and you get a 2% increase. Like it's nuts. But yeah, I'm a firm believer in equal effort. I just don't think it's being exercised to any degree. Like all of the aspects of romance are based around what the woman wants. She has all these men approaching her constantly. Like there's nothing if you're a guy. Because like I said, do I really want to talk to another woman where she's got 10, 20, 30 other men trying to speak to her? No, I don't. Do I really want to talk to one of them for several months on end just for her to tell me that she'd rather be friends? No, I don't. Do I really want to sign up for some more stupid dating websites, which I haven't done in years, but do I want to sign up for those and talk to some woman who's only going to care about what my picture looks like? No, I don't. So that's why I said it's just not appealing. It's really sad, Megumi. Things could be so much better. Like, I'm not joking when I say they have a lot of potential and it just gets squandered. They have really allowed it to just destroy themselves. Oh man, relationships. A lot of people say that as human beings, we need to interact with others and we need to like spend time with other people. But I'm very serious and I tell you that we're getting to a point where you're almost better off if you just don't even bother with talk like outside of working and some other kind of project, like some kind of goal oriented thing that has to do with work or creating something. You're better off not even speaking to women at all. Cause like the ones you try to be friends with, in most instances, you may be compelled to ask out because again, you're getting nothing from any of the other ones. And a lot of like the problem is a lot of the progression related stuff is still tipped in their favor. Like if you have a kid with a woman and it doesn't work out, if she takes you to some kind of child custody court, courts favor the mother. If you get divorced from her, she gets half your stuff. I mean, it like everything is just so unfairly stacked against you if you're a guy that's why I said like I really think that I'm better off just not even talking to any of them. They surely have gone off the rails. The most ironic part about it all is that they expose themselves in most cases. Remember what I told you about that woman who was working at my job with me, not in the same, what's the way of putting it? She didn't have the same position, but she worked in the same building. And the one lady asked her how her date went, and she said she liked the other guy more because he was rich. And if we didn't see her again, it was because she had married him. Now you know damn well you have never sat back and looked at two women that you were talking to, or whatever, and been like, I think this woman is cute and this other one is hot, but this one has more money, so I'm gonna go with the cute one. Like we don't get caught up on stuff like that because we don't expect to be given these damn handouts because somebody else thinks we're attractive. But remember, she felt confident enough to not only state that goal as something that she was like open to doing, right? Because at least if you were dating some woman that was wealthy, I feel like you probably would at least try to convince yourself her wealth has nothing to do with it. She was transparent about the fact that that this guy's advantage was his wealth, that these dollars in his pocket or on a card, whatever, made him more attractive than another man. But remember, men are the ones who are superficial. She felt confident enough about being a gold digger to say something like that in front of people that she worked with. Now, in work environments, people are supposed to feign professionalism. So, for example, when I'm in a work environment, I don't discuss my romantic views at all because it's not related to what I'm talking about. And it's something that's like it's like a hot button issue, right? Something that could bother people. Um, but it's like she felt comfortable enough to make to not only admit that this guy having more money makes him more attractive to her than the other one, but to even admit that she'll stop working her job there if she marries him. Especially when she mentioned it publicly, no shame whatsoever. No, that's why I said you don't have to look hard to see the cracks in the facade of women just slipping away, man. They will sit here and they will they just have no shame. They can sit here and discuss things and talk about stuff in ways that are really disgusting, um, and not feel bad about it at all. Like, you have to be a really sick person to admit publicly, right? Admit in front of other people, complete strangers. I am more interested in this other person romantically than someone else I dated because of what they own. What does that say about her? No shame. Again, gold digger, and I guess an opportunist. Oh man. Imagine the amount of pushback you receive if a guy mentioned that publicly. That's insane. And dude, they laughed at it. They thought it was a joke. I mean, they thought it was humor. Imagine what I would look like if I said, "Yeah, man, there's this one woman I'm dating, but there's this other one who's got way more money. So, hey, if you don't see me doing streams, it's probably because I got so rich from marrying the other chick I didn't need to come on here anymore." What would I look like? A jerk? A user? Again, an opportunist? Someone who has no shame to even be able to admit that? Like I said, I really feel like I live in the twilight zone because basic human decency and decorum over just simple stuff people just don't care about. And remember, you'll have people on here that will try to make that will they try, they don't it doesn't work. They'll try to make me feel bad about doing a stream or a video where I talk about, the romance stuff, right? We talk about hardest to get a date, etc. I'm supposed to feel bad about my position or what's happened to me. But then a woman who can go into her workplace and admit that another man is more attractive to her than some other guy because of what he owns. They have nothing to say about that. She's not supposed to feel embarrassed. And there's something wrong with that. But I told you that's why I said relationships can't be built on if they're partnerships, right? They can't be built on one party getting away with anything and the other one, which is us, just can't do it, just can get away with nothing. You can't have a man date a woman after years of getting nothing from them, right? Nothing romantic ever progressing. And then he's dating this woman who's been asked out by dozens of guys throughout her whole life and expect him to not be rightfully paranoid and thinking, oh man, she might be cheating. It just that's not you fairness can't be built on imbalance. It can't be based, you can't what's a good way of putting it? You can't pretend that you're gonna make something equal when things were never equal to begin with. Like all those guys that talk about wear this, own this, they are telling you to participate in an unfair system and they're trying to sell you this fairy tale that if you follow, again, their insta fixes, right? You're going to suddenly be placed on the same level of worth or value as a woman when you never will. Like I said, I could own, I could have 100,000 subs, and I still would not get anywhere near the amount of women asking me out per year that women get from men all the time, online and in person. You know, I could be a millionaire and I would still have people saying, this woman that owns nothing is out of your league. Because people have placed, for whatever reason, on the internet especially, they have taken the gender of female and extended it to this God above men status to where it just you can't reach it. You are a peasant. Sit down. And I just don't agree with that that lack of logic. Oh Megumi, it's all insane. Like I sometimes I wake up and I'm just thinking to myself, because I think I mentioned I go out sometimes and I see like a dad with his kid, or some couple and their baby or whatever. I'm just like, wow, I could, if things weren't so awful, if women actually were different from each other in some, like, to some mass degree, that could have been me. I could have had this. Again, I don't pretend that stuff doesn't bother me, but I also don't pretend that I'm not convinced I didn't do everything I could to try and prevent this, lousy reality from setting in. Oh man. You do start thinking that way when you see those kind of couples slash families in public. And remember, man, all the stuff, can be so much different. All the stuff these people tell you to have, there are guys that don't have it and they all got what you wanted. There are men who have been home, and we know this for a fact. There are men who don't have who not only don't have jobs, they don't even have a place to stay. And they've had a girlfriend or a wife, and they both like live in the car. I've seen it. You go to like any part of, dude, in San Francisco, man, it's so sad. But all I'm getting at is the reality clashes with what these people online tell you, and they usually try to just ignore the stuff that clashes with what they tell you, or they try to like make something up. And like I said, this is a topic that really requires a nuanced discussion that a lot of people just aren't willing to have. They're just going to keep on finger pointing and saying it's your fault, your fault, your fault, your fault, your fault. But yeah, things can be much different. Like, you'll be surprised how one person making a decision can just completely alter things. We talked about the dingbat with the baby, right? And that guy that, she treated like trash year after year, but he stayed with her. And how I've always been of the belief that the reason he stays with her, despite, cheating on all the different stuff she did, is because he really does believe that he can't get with someone else. And the reason I came to that belief is because, as far as I can tell, he had never been with anyone else, like, just based off the stuff I've heard. But it's really crazy to think that if he hadn't have stayed with her, because he put up with stuff I could never put up with. You pay for some woman to have her stuff in a room and then she's like cursing me. I can't deal with it. But it's really crazy to think that if he had not put up with her stuff as much as he did, and just kept being this like person that will just let himself be abused in any which way, right? If he had walked away from it, that kid wouldn't exist. The kid that, she was trying to accuse him of being a deadbeat parent to. Um, he would certainly have more money because he spent a whole bunch paying for her storage unit. It's just so crazy to think that, like, if he just had a little, if he had, what's the way of putting it? If he didn't believe this is as good as it can get for him when it comes to being with a woman, he could have saved himself a lot of annoyances and issues. It's why I said it's so sad, man. And really, he'd probably be in the same position as me, but again, at least he wouldn't be unhappy, which is something that has been made very clear by the things that I've heard and seen. Yeah, if you just alter things a little bit, they can be you'll be surprised by the amount of differences. Oh, oh, by the way, Megumi, just to switch topics for a second, my best friend hasn't like he hasn't seen because remember he has his dumb policy of only watching something one time and never seen it again. So he hasn't seen any Dragon Ball series that's not Super since he was a kid. So like if you ask him any basic thing about Z or even the original, he just can't remember or doesn't know. And I was laughing because I was just thinking about how like the Saiyan saga has so much Shakespearean irony. Like you know how Piccolo was born to kill Goku and then he succeeds, right? But he feels nothing from doing it because Goku wanted him to kill him for to sacrifice himself for Raditz, and then he gives his life to save Gohan. So he the being who was created to kill the father gives his life to save the son of the person he was made to kill. Like to he preserves the offspring. Like so he's the offspring of a villain who was designed to get revenge on the hero, but he instead preserves the offspring of the hero who becomes his friend. Like it's so ironic. Like you would almost like just when you think about it from the concept of it was it was King Piccolo and Goku who fought each other, to the death. And then their sons become close friends. Like Goku killed Piccolo's dad. Piccolo saved Goku's son and got himself killed in the process. And I facepalm over and over when I remember what my friend said. And you also remember how the whole Nappa and Vegeta fight is, oh my god, we need Goku, we need Goku, we need Goku, we need Goku. And like Goku shows up to save Gohan and Krillin, but then they end up having to save him after he came to save them. Like he arrived to save those two and said, "Oh, you guys can leave. I can handle Vegeta." And then they had to come back and then rescue him. So they have to rescue the person who was supposed to be rescuing them because he couldn't get the job done. Oh, and then let's not forget Great Ape Vegeta like terrorizing the Earth and like that's part of his effort to destroy the planet. And then Gohan like severely wounds Vegeta by accidentally turning into a great so like the form that was meant to destroy the Earth plays a role in taking out the villain who sought to use it, and Gohan's only able to use it because of the same fake moon that Vegeta put up there. So he was hoisted by his own leotard, like he was taken out by his own technique in a way. It was just used against him. Dude, the Saiyan saga has so much dramatic, dramatic irony, Shakespearean irony. It's really interesting just when you sit there and think about it, like all the pieces of it that are just like at odds with each other. Megumi, if something's good, you don't watch it again, you remember it. Meanwhile, he'll play the same song over and over, and he'll play the same video game over and over. Dude, it was the same thing with the actors where he said he tries to like he doesn't care about actors or knowing who they are or whatever, but then he knows like damn near every single rapper, including the ones he doesn't listen to. And I said, so how can you know how can you be content with knowing actors with not knowing actors who are in movies you watched, but then you know singers who made songs you don't listen to? Dude, it's stupid. But again, I told him to his face. I'm not about to sit here and act like that makes any sense. I just thought that arc was okay. Let me see. It honestly is a really good series. I do plan to rewatch Dragon Ball series from the first one, and I still am not intrigued enough to see Super properly. Look, in my opinion, Super is a garbage show. It's got one arc I like, which is the Tournament of Power, because it actually like lets most of the cast get something to do, even though it still misuses TN, but whatever. Yeah, the original Dragon Ball is amazing. People are like anyone that skips that is an idiot. Told you I can't think of any other anime or you know what? Any other series where people skip the entire first third. I've never seen that. I don't know anyone who watches Boruto who hasn't seen Naruto or started with Shippuden. Like, it's weird. I told you Dragon Ball is the only series I can think of where people do that. Megumi, if you go through the whole catalog of shows you've ever watched, I want you to really sit back and think, besides Dragon Ball, is there any other series where people refuse and purposely ignore the first third of the series? Like they just won't watch it. They can watch it if they want to, they just won't do it. They refuse. I would love to know. Dragon Ball is the only one. I want you to do that when you go and you look at all the catalogs of shows you enjoy. Find one where people purposely skip the first third of the series. I would love to see that because I can't think of one besides Dragon Ball. It's even more ironic when the people who do that claim they are fans of the series. And you know what gets me? Because we've had this discussion before. There are people who like the first the original Star Wars trilogy, and they don't like the prequels or sequels. There are people who like the first six, like myself, but don't like the sequels. There are people who like the originals and the sequels, but don't like the prequels. Point is, the fans of this stuff fall into different camps, but the one thing they will always have over Dragon Ball fans is they've seen every movie at least once. They've at least given it a chance. They say, you know what, let me check this out. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. Dragon Ball fans will literally never have seen the original, and they'll come up with the stupidest reasons for why they do this. You saw the one guy came on my stream talking about they couldn't blow up planets yet. Like, what show can you think of where the quality of the work is determined by the ability to blow up a planet? Because in most series, characters can't do that. But like, why would that even be something that determines if a series is of decent quality? That's why I said it's weird. And usually I don't even like gatekeeping, but I'm gonna say it. I think people who refuse to rewatch their own damn series or even see it once are idiots. And they don't actually like it. They just ride the hype train. That's why I said a lot of these people that talk about Dragon Ball really have not seen it, like actually watched it since they were kids, like when it was airing on Toonami or something. Which is why a lot of times when you try to have a conversation about them, they usually can only bring up stuff from Super, or they barely remember what was in, the original series. Um, when I say original, I'm talking about the original and see like the original manga stuff that got adapted into the anime. It's like it's so crazy how I really can't think of any other fandom that's like this. That's nuts. But yeah, it's very ironic. And there's no way to justify it to me. It's just a stupid thing that they have chosen to do that I'll never be able to understand. And I don't know, man. It's people just do weird stuff. But look, I've been going for over 2 hours. Um, I'm gonna be back either on Monday or next Saturday, and I might put up a video, end of 2022 video. So again, I might, don't know for sure yet. But thanks for showing up to the last stream of the year, Megumi, Akatsuki Merchant, Vince when he was here briefly. And I hope next year is better than this one, but I'm not going to get my hopes up all the way because we've been disappointed far too many times. So I will be back. Let's see. Let's hope at least. I'm hoping. I'm glad you don't claim to be. Um. Oh no, I don't. I'm not part of any team or organization. My stance is there's really screwed up stuff that happens to men because they do all these things to try and get with a woman. And I don't think you're like a evil woman hating person if you say, "Hey, look, I tried, I didn't get anything. I'm tired of this." My message has always been, you do things you like, and if no woman shows up, you do what you enjoy. You don't have to sit here and be depressed. Like you can get angry. You're right to be upset when you try and nothing happens, but you know, this isn't some toxic program. We're just sitting here discussing things that we like or don't like, and it's just people discussing things. We're not here to just to plot the destruction of the female power group. I don't have time for that. Um, Gumi says thanks for the stream. Happy New Year. Yeah, you too. And I will. I'm gonna try to do one on Monday. Not gonna make any promises because I don't know what the internet's gonna be like or if I want to do this again. But I'll you'll hear from me again in the very near future. I'm always uploading. All right, see ya.